Shadows fall, dimming the light. Whispers grow, a rising tide. Vindicator, where do you hide? Steel is over, heart ablaze. Through smoky haze, he sets his gaze. Justice calls a burning need. A city's wounds he vows to heed. From cobbled streets to tower high, Vindicator takes to the sky. Strikes back with iron hands, defender of this promised land. Breaks the chains, sets spirits free. Vindicator for all to see. Whispers turn to thunderous roar as shadows creep. He slams the door on tyranny's cruel, grasping hand. He fights for freedom, takes a stand with courage born of darkest night. He ignites hope, a guiding light. Strikes back with iron hands, defender of this promised land. Breaks the chains, sets spirits free. Vindicator for all to see. Though battles rage and darkness reigns, hope's ember burns within his veins. He'll never yield, he'll never fall. He answers freedom's clarion call. Strikes back with iron hands, defender of this promised land. Breaks the chains, sets spirits free. Vindicator for all to see. A symbol etched against the moon. Vindicator rising soon.
Hello, everybody. How you all doing? Got to apologise to start with. I've currently got the flu. I've got what Danny Roscoe's got. So I apologise if there's sneezing and coughing. I can't be helped. I'm currently going through, I'm sweating like a pig phase of the flu. So yeah, it's really great at the minute. Got a snotty nose and it's really like a tap. So I apologise for sneezing and coughing. Sorry about that, everybody. Right, so let's have a look at some of the comments. There's some people asking some questions. We'll deal with these first, then we'll get into the meat of this live stream. Because as you can see from the title, it says, a storm is coming, be in no doubt. And this is because I've had some interesting comments to my video this morning. People still aren't getting the message. People are still in denial that this country is heading to a really dark place unless we can get the wheel and basically do a complete U-turn and turn it away from the direction that it's heading. People are still clueless to this, and it's crazy. It really is. Right, let's have a look. Hello, buddy. How you all doing? Hello, Nicola. Right, let's have a look at some of the comments. I know someone was asking questions in here. Right, so no, Dino Bane didn't do the music for the video. It's actually AI generated. Interesting story. I got a copyright claim yesterday saying that the live stream couldn't be monetized because there was a copyright claim against an AI generated intro. And I didn't get it because the intro is completely unique. Nobody should be able to claim copyright on that because I'm the one that created it. So I don't get that. I don't understand that. Or maybe it's tripping off some kind of algorithm. I don't know. I'm currently dealing with that at the minute. So I don't know how it goes on. Right, this is the question I was looking at. John the Logger, is calling for boycotts a hate crime or against some law in the UK? No, it isn't. It's perfectly legal. Indicate Vin heads up for you to check it out. Andy, meeting with Trump. Andy, no, yeah. Right, about Antifa, yeah. Yeah, Trump is going to prescribe them. And he should go further. He should go further. Definitely, Antifa needs to be prescribed as a terrorist organisation. That should have happened years ago, shouldn't it? Really, but he should go further. He would say anybody, any country that's aiding and abetting Antifa, like our Starmer regime is, via NGOs, because they're highly affiliated with Stand Up to Racism, and as a charity, they receive government funding. So he should come out and say any country aiding and abetting Antifa is basically an enemy. We need to be strong. He needs to be strong and, wake people up and force the West to prescribe these people as terrorists. Definitely, 100%. Totally behind that. Yeah, I thought that, Steve. Says AI music can't be copyrighted. If I get it up in a bit, I'll show you what happened. I've had to share the revenue with this artist. It doesn't even name who he is. Well, it's interesting. Stefan Ward, how you doing, Stefan? How you doing, mate? It's up to us to change their minds best we can. I emailed Rupert Lowe this morning about the national strike and everything that entails every day that I could think of that would make this work. Yeah, that's exactly what people need to do. Need to get our political leaders behind this. Message them. And I've got to be blunt about this as well. I'm sure Stefan would agree with me, right? There is no point coming to my comment sections and rubbishing people's ideas and then not offering up any solutions yourself. I had this in the live stream yesterday where somebody turned up and said, it won't work, it won't happen. And I asked them in the live stream, well, what's your solution then? And they didn't have one. They didn't have a solution. This isn't the time for non-solutions. If you don't think it'll work, fine, fair enough. Shut the fuck up, and accept your fate. That's my advice to you people now. Accept your fate. Lie down and accept your fate. Because that's all you're good for. I've said this to people before. This might be harsh. This might seem harsh, but it's reality. It's a blunt reality. There will be people still in denial about a civil war when we've got enemy combatants walking up their road, setting fire to their neighbours' houses. They'll still be mowing the lawn, watching reality TV as the whole neighbourhood burns around them. There will be people like that. Definitely, 100%. And unfortunately, they will be the first casualties of the war. Blunt, well, that's the reality of it. If you haven't got a solution, and all you can do is come to the comment sections and go to people's comments where they're trying to offer up solutions to these problems and just pull them down without offering any solutions yourself, then you're part of the problem. You're part of the demoralization stage, trying to demoralize people, making them think they have no power, when the reality is they have more power than the government. And that's the truth. I said this in my morning video today. One single person is powerful. I mean, you remember the metaphor of a single match can burn down a forest. It's true. It starts with one person. A revolution starts with one person. Do not think you are not powerful, because you are. And if you build communities, you become even powerfuler. And that is what the whole of Westminster, that is what the whole of our political class fear. They fear the people unifying. That's what they fear. We can't afford to be negative anymore. We can't afford doubt anymore. We have to keep pushing forward. And if we can't find solutions, we have to make solutions. We have to think outside the box. People just don't realize how close we are to the brink. We are very close to the brink in this country. We will not last another 4 years. Anybody putting their faith in an election 4 years from now is delusional. You are delusional. The country will not be the same in 4 years. There will be nothing left of this country in 4 years. Look at what Starmer and his cronies have done in 1 year. So be in no doubt, as the title of this live stream says, be in no doubt, a storm is coming. What we do about that storm is up to you and me. You're the ones that can make decisions. There is no saviour coming. There is no saviour coming. There's no point looking around and waiting for some mystic figure to appear out of the mist like in the movies. It's not going to happen. You have to make it happen yourselves. Sorry to be a bit blunt and a bit abrupt, but I say it as it is. I don't sugarcoat anything. That's the reality. You either accept it or you don't. And if you don't accept it, you just lay down there and let the tanks roll over you. Right, let's get into this. I had the same problem with Irish video site doing the same. On Tuesday, I told her to find. I don't know what that's about. People have more power than the government if they stand together. The British will never stand together. This is what I mean. This is the type of comment I mean. I'm sorry to bring this up to you, but this is what I mean. The people only have more power than the government if they stand together. The British will never stand together. On what are you basing that? What basis are you basing that on? And it's you from yesterday, isn't it? Calling sick. Yeah? What are you basing that on? What framework are you basing on that you know they'll never stand together? Because there's never been a time like this in history, has there? Not in recent history. Karen, the British will never stand together. The class system has seen to that. The people with something to lose will never. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with your comment. No, it sounds defeatist. It really does sound defeatist. And this is what a lot of the comments have been saying in my video section. Like, we can't do it. The people will never stand together, the class system. It's excuse after excuse. It will happen if we make it happen, if we believe in it. Do you really think that the French resistance were defeatist during the Second World War? Do you think they just laid down, just allowed it to happen to them? They were massively outnumbered. There must have been people among them that said, we can never stand against the Nazi war machine. Well, they did. They had to. And we can too. We've just got to drag that British bulldog spirit out of our DNA. Stop being negative, stop being defeatist, and say, you know what, we can do this because we've got nothing else to lose. It's your truth. It's your truth you're telling yourself. You're telling yourself that it can't be done. You have to believe. Fear is the mind killer. Don't forget that. So you imagine someone who assets worth millions stand. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the working class. If all the working class went on strike at once, this country will be brought to a standstill. That's who we're trying to reach. We're not trying to reach the millionaires. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous argument. We're trying to reach the working class. And while I'm on ridiculous arguments, I know you haven't made this argument, but some people have. They keep going on about unions. Well, the unions will never organise a national strike. We don't need the unions. We don't need the unions at all. We have something more powerful. It's called social media. All we need is for people, for prominent voices within the Patriot movement, to start talking about it, to push this. And if they're not pushing it or they won't push it, then you should be asking them why not. Because I'm not joking here, everybody. This is our last hope. It really is. A national strike is our last hope. We are fastly approaching that fork in the road of civil unrest and civil war. Been the case about a few months ago. The unthinkable happened in Northern Ireland and South, marching together. Exactly. That's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Nobody thought that would ever happen, where we would have the North and South marching together. I never thought it would live to see that. We are together now. Exactly. That's exactly right. Don't say anything is impossible. Nothing is impossible. You just have to be willing to do it. I've seen this as well. People won't do it because they'll be scared of losing their jobs and they won't be able to pay their bills. Well, it's going to be a damn sight better than living through a civil war. And you might not believe me that one is coming. You might think, oh, it'll never happen in this country, and stick your head in the sand. That's fair enough. Like I said before, you're out of the conversation now. Go and lay down in a corner somewhere and accept your fate. The rest of us will try and fight for this country. I'm not a defeatist. I will never surrender. I mean that. I really do. I've been in situations where I thought all hope was lost. Trust me. I really have. I've been down to my last bullet, my last ammo. And I thought, this is it. I'm about to meet my maker. Now, if I'd have given up in that moment, yes, I probably would have died. But we kept fighting on. You never surrender. It's not over until it's over. And that's the mentality we have to have. It really is. You can't be defeatist. If you're already defeated in your own mind, you'll never win. What about self-employed? I know plenty of working class self-employed, myself included. How does their strike look? You just stay at home. You encourage others to stay at home. So what is your solution? I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the person yesterday. What is your solution? How would you get the country out of this? It's fair enough you coming in and picking holes in arguments. I've got no issues with that. I've got no issues with taking criticism. But what are your solutions to the problems in this country? What are you offering up as an alternative? Yeah? We did it years ago over petrol. Tony Blair has had to give in, but we had to stand together. Exactly. It's just having belief in yourself that you can do it. It really is. And sick, how will they pay the mortgage when the house is a pile of smouldering bricks? The idea that the mortgage co will stop a mortgage for a 14-day strike. You don't have to have a solution to recognise holes in someone else's. Yes, you do. Right, if you're going to poke holes in somebody's argument, then you should have a solution yourself. Especially right now. If you think it won't work, just keep it to yourself. You're allowed your opinion, but just keep it to yourself. Because airing these things demoralises people. At the minute, we're trying to encourage people to wake people up. There's a very real threat on the horizon. Then an alternative would be everyone pulling children out of school indefinitely. I remember the poll tax protesters, they were running amok everywhere. I'm not criticising it. You are criticising it. I'm not criticising it. I'm criticising the idea that a large group of unorganised people, lots with no interest in politics, together. I'll tell you something, right? Whether you're into politics or not, after this next budget, people will get political. They will. Because I don't think people realise just how brutal this budget, up-and-coming budget, is going to be. It's going to be absolutely brutal on the people of this country. If you're not political, you need to get political. The reason we're in this mess is because lots of people didn't get political in the first place. So if you feel a friend is going down a dark path, should you say nothing because you don't have another option for them? That's a false equivalence, isn't it? That's a false equivalence. Of course, you should talk to your friend, but it's a difference between an idea of saving your country than somebody that's going down a dark path that may be suicidal, isn't it? Yeah, it's a complete false equivalence of an argument, that. I've got no issues with criticism. The only thing I ask of you is if you're going to criticise people's ideas, at least have an alternative. Yeah? I think that's a fair enough statement to make. Otherwise, just accept your fate. If you don't believe it's possible, fair enough. You're entitled to that belief. impenetrable truth is waiting the next general election. We won't make it to the next general election. That's the issue. We won't make it that far. Look at the damage that the Labour Party, the Starmer regime, has done in just 1 year. And you seriously think anything's going to be left after another 4? Thanks, Steve. If your friend is going down a dark path, you point them to an alternative direction. Thank you, Steve. Digital ID is the portal they will use to control the finest details of our private lives and silence every mandatory vax could be put in their plan. Exactly. Colin Slick, some people can't be woken up. Some people will get real. The thing is, most people will wake up when it's far too late, when the option of a strike is now off the table. That's when most people will wake up. It's right before the beginning of the storm. It's like, nah, that option's off the table now. We tried to warn you at the time about having a strike to try and steer this country back to some kind of sanity, but nobody wanted to listen. It's like a few decades ago, nobody wanted to listen to us when we were talking about the grooming gangs. Nobody wanted to listen to us. We were all racist and xenophobes. And then when people started to listen, it was far too late. The damage had been done. And it's the same in this situation. Right, I'll come back to the comments in a bit, but there's some things I want to cover. So first off, we're going to cover Gary Neville. We're going to cover that guy. I don't want to be coming down on people. I really don't, but we've got to be positive. We've got to believe in ourselves a bit more. I think we can do things rather than try and find fault and think, no, we can't do it. Instead of saying no, we need to start saying yes more to things. At least trying things. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least we tried. At least we tried to do something, didn't we? We didn't just roll over and play dead. That's all I'm trying to say. Hello, mate. You having anyone today? Yeah, I am, mate. I'm just going to try and get through all these videos, and towards the end, I will invite people to come in like I always do. I'm just going to try and get through some of this content, some things I want to talk about. And what I do, there's lots of little stories that I see on Twitter. Now, I can't make a video for each story, so what I'll do is I bring it into the live stream. I'll play it for you guys. I'll talk about it, and it saves me making 7 videos a day on things. But yeah, I will be having people in the end, mate. You will be able to come in. Anybody can come in and debate. They can have their way and that sort of thing. So yeah. Right. Share screen. I will warn you, if you've got a sick bag, you're going to need to get a sick bag. Listen to this guy. Gary Neville is an absolute traitor to this country. He really is. And most of you have probably seen this video, but I watched it and it was like, here we go. Warning, sick bags at the ready.
So I've just left my house and walking into the office, waking up obviously, seeing the news last night and the news this morning dominated by the horrific attacks within the Jewish community just about a mile from here. And I was driving home from Salford City last night. I was driving actually to Salford City, going down a Littleton Road, seeing 60, probably 50 or 60 Union Jack flags. And on the way back I went down the parallel road, which is Berrynew Road, which has got the Jewish community right at its heart, and they're out on the streets defiant, not hiding or in fear. And I just kept thinking as I was driving home last night that we're all being turned on each other.
Right. I just want to cover something here. So, who in the chat thinks that the Jewish community in this country fears the people behind the Union flag? Do you really think that the Jewish people fear the people putting up the Union flag and the St. George's Cross everywhere? Or do you think they fear the people with the Palestinian flag that are displaying the Hezbollah, the ISIS, and the Al Qaeda flag during their hate marches? Which side do you think they fear the most as a community? I'm going to hazard a guess and say it's not the people putting up the Union flag or the St. George's Cross. I think it's going to be the people that for the past two or 3 years have been chanting genocidal slogans during their marches. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Basically calling for the entire extermination of the Jewish people. Yeah. So I don't think it's the people with the Union flags and St. George's Cross that the Jewish people fear, Gary. I think it's the other crowd. Well, we'll just get on with it. He's an idiot, by the way, an absolute moron.
And the division that's being created is absolutely disgusting. Mainly created by angry, middle-aged white men who know exactly what they're doing.
Right. So let's get this straight. Right. The Raise the Flag campaign has been a recent event. It's recent. So it just started to happen. He's blaming white middle-aged men for division. And yet, for the past 2.5 years, we've had a pro-Palestine movement marching up and down our streets. Basically, a fifth column within our country, marching up and down our streets, causing division, causing disruption in this country. But this moron won't acknowledge that. He blames, oh, it's white people. It's white people doing it. He's a racist. He's a racist. This is a prime example of white guilt. Right here, white guilt, white privilege guilt. Gary will never face any of the issues any of us face. He'll be safe in his nice big mansion with his gated mansion. You know, he doesn't believe in borders, but I bet this guy's got a massive security system. I bet he's got a huge, huge fence around his property with security on it, yet he doesn't believe in borders. Only for his own property, though. And you won't see Gary Neville giving up one of his rooms to a refugee either. Because, yes, refugees are welcome here in your communities, in your towns, just not where he lives. Absolute dickhead.
Funnily enough, on one of my development sites last week, there was a Union Jack flag put up, and I took it down instantly.
Right, did you hear that? He just said that there was a Union flag up at one of his building sites, and he took it down immediately. Why? Why would you take the nation's flag down?
And some people might be watching this and thinking, well, Gary, you're not very patriotic. I played my country 85 times. I love my country. I love Manchester and I love England.
Right, let's get it straight, right? And I'm sorry to all the football fans that are probably going to be here, right? You ran around a field with a ball. You ran around a field with a ball and got paid millions to do it. So forgive me for not saying, well, yeah, you played for your country, but it's not exactly charging into machine gun fire like a squaddy, is it? You know, you played football. You kicked a ball around a field for 90 minutes. Not even 90 minutes sometimes. Let's put this into perspective. You know, you got paid well to do it. Doesn't entirely make you patriotic. And let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this. He says he's proud to be British. He's patriotic. Well, let's have a look at this, shall we? Because this is fantastic. So here this is. So we have a look. This is from a guy called Kosher. He's saying, "Holy shit! Can you guess who isn't singing the national anthem and seems to be quite literally hanging his head? I wonder who it could be. Everybody, should we hazard a guess?" Oh, look, it's Gary Neville not singing the national anthem and holding his head down. I'm patriotic. I play for my country. Yeah, it looks like you're patriotic, mate. Bell end. Let's have a look at the chat. It is. Absolute disgrace. And let's not forget this guy's affiliated with the Labour Party. He's most likely within the Fabian Society as well, more than likely. Let's have a look at the chat, right? Hi Kenny, how you doing, mate? I think there are other options well before a general strike would be palatable to a high enough percentage of the people. This is why I'm saying hang fire, wait till after the budget. There's going to be lots of angry people after the budget. There really is. Sure about that. Somebody shoving something through the letterbox and they're taking the door off the hinges. Yeah, mate, how you doing? Yeah, hi. He's attended with all the equipment. Well, there's no surprise there. No surprise at all with that. Quislings will be found accountable. Yes, they will. I'm getting sick of this arsehole. I think a lot of people are. You know, who else is sick of the celebrities? You know, they've forgotten their place. These people are just court jesters. It's their job to entertain us, not to try and dictate some kind of moral high standing because of their politics. His view has no more power than mine. It shouldn't. He has a platform. He uses his platform to push his agenda. Yes, he is. He's an absolute moron. Right, we'll go back to the video. It's not much longer, don't worry, guys.
England. But I've been building in this city for 15, 20 years, and there's no one put a Union Jack flag up in the last 15 to 20 years, so why do you need to put one up now?
Right, so Carl Benjamin brought this up when he addressed this part of the video. Right, so Gary Neville has just said that nobody's tried to put up a Union flag on one of my building sites in the last 15 or 20 years, so why do it now? That's the problem. That's the problem. We've lost our national identity. If you look at any council, do they celebrate St. George's Day? Some might, but a vast majority of them don't. We don't celebrate our national heritage. And what has happened, Gary, is that the people in this country have reached their breaking point. They're sick and tired of being told that they're the problem, that they're being demonized. They're the problem. You've done it yourself in this video. You know, you talk about unity, but you sow the seeds of division yourself. You blame a specific group in society. You blame middle-aged white men. And for your information, Gary, if you look at the United Kingdom rally, it was a mixture. You couldn't get a more diverse bunch of people at the United Kingdom rally. So, in all honesty, mate, you're talking a lot of horse shit. You really are. I bet your breath stinks with the amount of bullshit that comes out of that mouth.
Because quite clearly it's sending a message to everybody that there is something you don't like. The Union Jack flag being used in a negative fashion.
Yeah, but what do people don't like? What don't we like? We're basically being erased from our own country. Our culture is being erased before our eyes. We're seeing great swaths of our country being taken over slowly by an alien demographic that has no place being in this country. They don't like our values, they don't like our customs, they don't like our traditions. So why in the hell are they here? There's only one reason, isn't there? They're here to take over, they're here to colonize the place. They want to spread their caliphate. That's why. And what you're seeing with the raise the flag is the pushback against that. It's a peaceful pushback against that to show that England still exists.
It's not right. And I'm a proud supporter of England, of Great Britain.
No, you're not. You're talking bullshit. I can't listen to this guy anymore. He's talking absolute shite. Well, here we go. Right, major incident. So Gary's talking about division. He's blaming all white middle class men for division. Yeah, look at who's doing all the stabbing. Now, I wonder who this could be. Right, major incident at Bradford College. 4 stabbed, including 2 emergency workers. All are being treated in hospital. Man, no description, arrested at the scene. Now, every time the man has no description, we know which demographic it is, don't we? But Gary Neville blames, it's white middle class men. I don't think it was a white middle class man that went into the synagogue and stabbed all those people. Rammed his car. It wasn't a white middle class man, was it, Gary? Let's talk about this as well, right? So I don't know who this idiot is here, but he's talking a lot of shit, right? This meme. So he's suggesting that bombing people makes them radicalized. So we can discount that because that's rubbish. The first stage in that is rubbish. So what actually happens is this person here radicalizes his son with hate. It's been going on for generations. Before there was even bombs, people like this were radicalizing their children to hate certain people, certain groups of people. That's the real problem. These are the problem. The extremists that teach their children hate. We've seen it. We've seen it on TV. We've seen the propaganda videos where they teach their children to hate. They have them running around mocked up as Hamas fighters. So this guy has no clue what he's talking about. He really doesn't. Not a clue at all. So here we are. I wanted to get onto this, right? I'll come back to the chat in a minute. I just want to get through some of these stories quickly. So new bankrupt Birmingham Council, because they are bankrupt. That's why the bin men are out on strike, because there's no pay rise for them because they've run out of other people's money again. They always do. So new bankrupt Birmingham Council launches flag task force to remove Union Jacks. Now, they can afford to spare cash to go about and, take down all the Union flags, but they can't spare any cash to get all the, the rubbish off the streets. Priorities. And this is all down to ideology, isn't it? So, Birmingham City Council, despite being bankrupt, is spending thousands on a new team to tear down unauthorised British flags. Can we really call the Union flag in Britain unauthorised? It's our national flag. If you see the Union flag or the St George's Cross flying anywhere, I think it's pretty much authorised in this country, since this is Britain, this is England. The only people that would take offence to that or call the flag of the nation that they're in unauthorised would be colonisers, wouldn't it? Here we go. Right, Union Jacks and St George's Crosses to be removed. Palestine flags remain untouched. What a surprise! What a surprise. Mayor Zafar Iqbal backing the crackdown. Of course he is. Of course he is. He has no affiliation with the St George's Cross or the Union flag. He's a foreigner. He's a foreigner in this country. He has no ties to this land. Again, it was Basil the Great, Birmingham Council hired night staff to take down national flags. Spent taxpayer money despite being most indebted council per head in the country. Political motivations are being questioned. These people hate Britain. Of course they do. They want to colonise it. They want to make it their country. That's why they're doing these things. So I'll look at some of the chat. This, the major incident, no ID given, and WYP closed down the comments. Yeah. He needs to shut his mouth and give his half a chance. Yeah. I only hope these middle-aged men boycott. Yeah, they already are. It's already backfired on him, hasn't it? They're already protesting outside. He's the big building that he's making, wherever he is. Kottmeister. Hey, I've not seen you in a long time, mate. Not seen you in a long time, Kottmeister. Of course, it's authorised. If a dead British soldier is repatriated into the UK, the coffin isn't covered in the Palestinian flag, is it? It's the Union Jack. Well said. Totally agree with that. Unauthorised. In general, we are to blame because we are too lazy to step up and work for our communities in positions such as councillors. Exactly. That all has to change, though. Hi, Richard. How are you doing? Right, as promised. Yes, he is. As promised, we're going to go and take. This is all thanks to Steve, by the way. Thank you, Steve. He found the link to the Stand Up to Racism video that we were going to take a look at yesterday that we couldn't find, that somebody brought up in the chat. That was actually, what, who was that? Can anybody remember who it was? I can't remember who it was. Right, we'll have a look. Stop sharing. That's it. Go to this and then we'll share it again. Right. Right, so this is amazing. So this is the headline from Stand Up to Racism. I'll read you the paragraph first. On Sunday the 28th of September, outside the Sandpiper Hotel in Chesterfield, a racist interviewed a Nazi. This is going to become evident in a bit, right? Because these people call everybody a racist, everybody's a Nazi. And the argument they use in this is going to become obvious in a bit as to why these people said these things. Not revealing too much. Right, so a racist interviewed a Nazi. Notice they don't provide any evidence, not at all. The Nazi spins fiction. Reality caught it all. These protests are organised and led by Nazis and vile racists. I was there. There wasn't a racist or a Nazi in sight. Just very, very angry locals. Now, of course, Stand Up to Racism, they don't portray the full story because this is pure propaganda on their part. This is to make everything, oh yeah, they're right. These are totally Nazis. Right, so let's play it.
Stay off the road, please.
What we had was one row of agitators, paid agitators,
I got offered 50 quid, how much did you get?
and then one row of concerned Chesterfield citizens. Now, us Chesterfield citizens, we've not been shouting.
Right, let's take a look at that, shall we? Let's take a look at that. Right. Why does that keep going off? Right, let's take a look at this. Why does that keep going off?
Citizens.
Right, obviously, this guy's a massive twat. And obviously, Stand Up to Racism. Isn't it convenient how they had a camera pointing exactly at this spot as this guy was doing this? Out of all these people, don't you think it's just a little bit convenient that the camera was pointing directly at this man at this particular point in time? At these two here. Just saying. Just a little bit convenient, that, isn't it? Out of all those people, they just happened to have a camera recording at that time. And they weren't recording the whole day. They weren't. But at that particular moment in time, they just happened to have a camera pointing directly at him. Perfectly focused, perfectly centered. I'm just saying. Well, let's have a look at some of the comments. What do you guys think to that? To me, it looks like he's an agitator. I'm sure he's an agitator. Let's have a look at some of these here. I don't always get to see all the content. It's too long though. So I'm just reading some of the chat, guys. It's all right. Just reading some of the things you've been saying. So. Yep, it is, Steve. Absolute swaddle. I was there. I find it very suspicious that you've got a man centre and you've got somebody filming at exactly the right time. He's not even panned in. not even panned in the camera. It just zooms straight in on where he is. Very, very suspicious. And it would be very easy to infiltrate a crowd like this. Don't know why that keeps going off. Why keep going off?
From the off, we've been keeping it civil. You fucking little slut. Hey!
Why are you being so offensive?
Suck my dick. The ones that are shouting the abuse are the agitators now.
Yeah, I just want to say that guy doesn't sound very local to Chesterfield. He sounds Sheffield, Eckington way. So, yeah. Why the fuck? This is why I don't use Facebook. It's shit.
These are the ones that have been doing all the abuse, giving out all the bad language.
Right, they conveniently don't show Antifa. There's not a single mention of Antifa. They don't show Antifa. And at the beginning of the protest, I was there. The actual Stand Up to Racism crowd were trying to move over to where the Patriots were. They were trying to get into the Patriots' face, and the police actually had to move them back. They refused to move. The Section 14 threat came at the time because Stand Up to Racism refused to move. They threatened them with a Section 14 dispersal. They were the ones that were being unreasonable. They were trying to move across the road, trying to get in the face of. You've probably seen it. It's on my channel. Go and watch it. It's on there. This is just heavily edited propaganda. It really is.
I'm a Nazi racist. I pointed out.
Right. Let's go back to that.
Bad language.
Suck my dick, I'm a Nazi. I'm a racist. I'm a Nazi.
Right. That just screams. That just screams infiltrator, doesn't it? Absolutely screams infiltrator. And there he is again, look, at his side. He's there again. Balaclava man. He was trying to rock the police car, trying to agitate things. These three here. This is the guy with the Nazi salute. This is the guy again, openly saying that he's racist to the Nazi. Who in their right mind would do that? Nazis and racists wouldn't do that. They wouldn't openly admit they were Nazi and racist. So he's either being ironic or he's doing it for the camera. And again, all the time, every time this happens, they conveniently have a camera ready to record it. I'm just saying, this just looks set up. This looks like they've infiltrated a few of their Stand Up to Racism goons into this crowd to make the crowd look bad. It just looks like it screams set up 100%. Why do they keep confusing Nazi as right? What does Nazi stand for? Right, so this is basically it. There's a channel, Tick History. Is it Tick History? Tick History. He basically says that, you know, if you want to know what a Nazi is, it's a racist communist. That's a Nazi. National Socialists. So, and the irony is with all this, what Stand Up to Racism were actually doing at the time, they were calling us fascist. They were shouting fascist at us. Of course, they don't include that in their little propaganda piece. The whole day they were antagonizing the crowd, calling them Nazi scum and fascist all the time. But that's not including their little fuzzy sunshine and rainbows propaganda video, is it? Or they just cut Antifa out of it completely. Antifa weren't there. If you've seen my video, Antifa were prevalent all the way through their protest. They were. The thing is, they were shouting fascist, and anybody who knows what a fascist is, Steve knows it, I know it, they're basically unionists. Fascists are unionists. The word fascist, it comes from the ancient Roman word, which is for a bundle of sticks, meaning that if one stick on its own can be easily broken, but a bundle tied together is stronger. That's basically a metaphor for a union, and that's why Mussolini used it, because he was socialistic. He used it to represent the union. So basically, when these idiots are chanting fascist scum off our streets, the translation of that is unionist scum off our streets, which is irony, absolute 100% irony. Unionist scum off our streets. And when they're chanting Nazi scum off our streets, they're really chanting racist communists off our street. They just don't understand what they're saying. They don't. They've got no clue what they're on about whatsoever. Right, so I think we've seen enough of that. Pretty much propaganda, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link in the chat and see if anybody wants to come in. I know Stefan wants to come in, but anybody's welcome to come in, anybody at all. Come have a chat. Right. I'm sorry, I apologise. Right, the link is in the chat. I will say, and I'm only going to say this once, super chats are now active on the channel as well. So at the time I'm going to mention it, super chats are live on this channel now. We're monetized. It was, to be honest with you, I was amazed the channel got monetized with the content I put out. I was expecting instant demonetization. Like, no, you can't. We can't monetize your channel. But no, it got monetized. Completely surprised me. Right, there was a point in the video where katana was brandished. Yeah, right. So that was plastic, Steve. That was plastic. The police actually went over and had a look at it, and it was a plastic sword. But they won't mention that. They don't mention the fact that the police went over and had a look at it. Trade unionism, fascism is very Fabian too. Yeah. Yeah, it says it. It's on the coat of arms. The Fabian Society's coat of arms. What do they say? Infiltrators, a wolf in sheep's clothing. They don't hide it. They don't hide what they do. They openly admit they use democracy to infiltrate institutions. Here comes Stefan. In you come, mate. How you doing?
Hello, mate. How are you?
How you doing, buddy? So I'm going to ask you a question, right? What do you say to all these naysayers that are they come to the video comments and they come to the live streams? They belittle ideas, will then offer up nothing of their own.
Yeah, it's called being sort of very much defeatist. Can't do this, can't do that. There's no such thing as can't. There is literally no such thing as can't. You can always try and then see what the situation is after that. You know, we had that when I was working in construction, a steel fixer. You got 50 mil bars. You're trying to get in a gap that doesn't fit, and you got to get it to go. You've got to somehow come up with a solution to get it in there. The amount of fucking times excuse my French, the amount of times we had to do that, it's, you know, people keep saying, oh, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. Can't be done. It can be done. It will be done. It must be done. Simple
Well,
as that.
lots of people have already said about the fuel. You know, there was the strike with that.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot. I remember it now vaguely, but yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so it can be done.
Can be done. It cannot. Yes. Nothing is impossible.
No, nothing is impossible. But they've made it. Well, they brainwashed people over the decades to think, well, I'm weak. I can't look after myself. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's a mindset.
They become too dependent on the state to do the thinking for them. That's what it is.
Exactly that. Exactly where the state pretty much wanted them in the first place. Because this has been like you've said before. This is a long game for these lot that are trying to implement this. What they're trying to do. It's been a long game. and now the game's coming to an end. So it's like you said, we're at a crossroads.
I
We
want to
either
cover
do-
this. I just want to cover this comment by Kenny. He's put this.
Go on, mate.
A run on the bank would create chaos for the government. People simply transfer savings accounts and investments from one UK bank to another. Northern Rock 2007, first run on the bank in 150 years. But that's why they brought these new measures in. This is why you have to ask permission to remove a certain amount of money from your bank.
Exactly.
It's to stop that.
Yeah, they, you know, that's what I'm saying. They've pretty much got the Kybers on your money already. You've got to show receipts and stuff like this for what you're actually spending the money on. What? Really? Well, I've got to show somebody some documentation to where I want to spend my own money. You know, it's not rocket science. You can see what they are trying to implement.
Well,
You know,
it looks like the troll's trying to get attention again. A former police officer. Should we see what he's got to say, Stefan? Should we see what he's got to say?
do we have to?
It's always fun. It's always fun.
Go on then.
He's our little court jester. Let's let him in for a little bit. Hi mate, how you doing?
Fuck's sake. Can you just put the other voice on, mate, please, so we can actually understand?
that voice is a bit shit. Can you put your other voice on, please? You're actually laughing, aren't you? You're laughing under that, all that. You're taking the piss, and it's like, yeah, fair enough. Well done, mate.
If you've got something to say and you've got the convictions of your words, come out and say it. Don't hide behind a silly voice. Well, are you a man? Are you a man, or are you just a wrong un? Because it sounds like you're a wrong un. Exactly. There you go.
Bye. That's all right. I've just banned him. Banned.
It's pointless.
Look, I want to give him the opportunity to speak because you know one of these times he's actually going to. He might even come up with a coherent argument or something. But yeah.
Well, he hasn't got one, has he? I heard him before, Vin, and he's just a moron.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. There's no logical debate at all because he hasn't got any.
Yeah, he's obviously using different accounts because I've already banned him once, so he must be using multiple accounts to come and into the stream. But yeah, let's get back onto the topic of what we're talking about. So obviously, the title of my live stream is "The Storm is Coming," be in no doubt, because lots of people just don't believe it's going to happen in this country. They don't.
Still watching the Poison Box, believing everything I mean, that's why you look at the lot of the marches with the lefties. You know them lot are watching the BB and the mainstream media. You know they are. Because they're it's the mind virus has just completely warped what little brain mass they had left between their ear rolls. You know,
hang on, deport all those. Is that is that in reference to me or the guy that we just had on the troll? I don't know. He said this guy is sympathetic to the retards on the lefties, not able to articulate anything. Yeah, I think he's talking about the troll.
Yeah, because they're not. Yeah, they haven't got, like I say, they cannot have a reasonable, intelligent debate with anybody that's on the opposite sides. They get all aggressive because that's the way they've been brainwashed.
Well, I'm going to play a video in a minute. I think you're going to like this one, Stefan, because I think we'd all like to be these people. I know I would be. It's a shame that we can't do this in this country. I would just love to be standing there and watching this.
Yeah,
love to be there in person. But I think I bookmarked it. I'm sure I did.
As long as I'm Gary Neville again.
No, I'm not showing Gary Neville again. No, I think we're done with Gary Neville. I think
I've got a couple of things to say after about that prick.
He's just a moron, isn't he? That guy. He's just an idiot.
Yeah, beyond.
He's beyond help, isn't he? He's a typical champagne socialist, isn't he? He just doesn't get it at all.
That's exactly what he is. He's done interviews with Keir Starmer. He's been buddy with him. He's been to the Davos Institute, and he's been to the World Economic Forum. There's an Australian, I don't know if you know him. He's a citizen journalist, got beard, like dark sort of tan skin. But he interviewed him outside the World Economic Forum and asked him certain questions. Because I remember Gary Neville at the time of the Qatari World Cup was whining about like the rights of the workers, and the builders were getting like slaves and all this bollocks. But he didn't mind taking Qatari money, did he?
No, he didn't. He's a hypocrite.
Yeah,
they all like the money.
Yeah, and he was putting questions to him, this Australian fella, and he was like, you know, he said to him, "You're quite into politics, isn't you, Gary?" And he was going, "Well, not really." And some of the stuff he was coming back with was so transparent when you know exactly what side of the fence you sit on, mate.
Well, I was going to play a video, but I can't find it. It seems to have disappeared. I don't know what it is, but it was actually police in America, Antifa, were actually screaming in their faces, and they just sprayed them with pepper spray straight in the face, and it was like, that's awesome.
Do you know what they used to do? You used to do back in the day, Vin, and you'll remember this. They get the fucking water cannons out on you.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Shit out of you.
Yeah, they just blast them across. They just blast them across the road.
Yeah, of course they did. And back in them days, I was brought up in a little mining village in Wales. I'm not Welsh, I'm English, but I was brought up in a little mining village, and I went through all the miners' strikes. And the old bill back in them days, mate, they were mostly 6'4" and built like brick shit houses, and they smashed the shit out the miners.
Yeah, you know what? Right, my granddad told me some stories about those times. He was a miner. He was at Markham Colliery in Chesterfield, he said they could always tell when the Met were coming up because they were the most brutalist. They'd bring up the Met Police and they'd be on the front line. So they just didn't give a shit.
No, don't give a shit, mate, because like saying they had big old truncheons in them days and all.
Yeah, he also told me stories as well. He said they used to dress up the army as police officers because they didn't have enough police officers to obviously manage everything. So they used to put the army in police uniforms, and they could always tell the army police because they had shiny boots. They always had shiny boots.
And they were slightly stockier than the rest of them. Obviously, the training and that they've gone through. But yeah, they didn't fuck about, mate, in them days. You look at the police they got now. I mean, they put in like 4.5 foot fucking women on the front line. One man would smash the shit out of 3 or 4 of them women before they'd even get a chance to grab hold of him. So what is the point of having these women on the front line? They should not be there. I agree that you know, have police women in the force, detectives or whatnot.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. Totally 100% agree. But what do you think the solution is to all of this? What do you think? What is the route to get us out of the situation we're in now? Because a lot of people are putting their faith in this election that's 4 years away.
No, there's no. We were. You said it before, mate. We will not last 4 years. Look what he's done in 1 year, or look what the regime and the globalists have done in 1 year through the Western world. 1 year. You think we're going to last 4 more years without having guerrilla warfare on our streets? You have got to be fucking blind.
You know, I watch YouTube, right? I watch all the political commentators on YouTube, and they're all putting their faith in this. They all still believe in the system. They all believe we can vote a way out of this. And it's like you're delusional. You're absolutely delusional.
No chance. Absolutely no. Political. That's where we are now, because they've completely bastardized the whole political issue. It's not fit for purpose. You know, the Parliament, the House of Lords, none of it is fit for purpose. None of it. Right. They all know exactly. Yeah, sorry, mate.
I just want to answer this guy here, Captain Grinner. He says, "So tell me, what's your plan?" Well, I've been highlighting my plan for quite a while. The national strike.
Yeah, the plan is. I was speaking to somebody earlier, and this might be an option as a starter. Get some services to completely shut down.
Yeah, I don't think people realise it doesn't have to be every single industry. It just has to be key industry.
No, like NHS and things like that. It doesn't have to be that. We don't need that. And as for somebody mentioning what was it they mentioned? Unions. Fucking hell, are you sure the unions are the left?
Yeah, we don't need
They
them
are
anyway.
Yeah, you don't
We-
need them. You don't
We
need
don't
them
need
at
the
all.
unions.
They're insignificant when it comes to the collective.
The thing is,
They are.
Stefan, right? The thing is, we've got social media. We've got massive voices within the movement that could put it out there. We don't need the
Yeah.
unions to get the word out or to organise things.
No, you don't, mate.
don't.
And I this morning I emailed Rupert Lowe and put the point across about a national strike, the logic of it, what it entails, how it can be implemented. And you know, he's probably the only one out of the lot of them that's got anything that resembles the mindset of the majority of people. You know, he's not a seasoned politician, is he? Because he's not.
No, he's
You
not.
know, he's a businessman at core. So, you know, he knows how to make money and create businesses.
Got
But-
Carrie Jessup here talking. She says he's a former police officer. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what we need. We need ex-servicemen like yourself. We need police officers that have not been corrupted by the fucking woke mind virus. And you need to get an organisation set up of some sort, bring these people together, and then start literally blanketing the whole country with its solution. Because, like you said, we have
Right.
no other solution. There's nothing.
I just want to cover this comment here, right? Because
go on, mate.
the thing is, right, a lot of the good police officers, most of them are close to retirement, so they just keep their heads down and don't say anything. We know what the inner workings of the police force are like. If they are not woke or they go against the woke agenda, they don't last long. They get rid of them. So they've learned because they're more scrutinized than we are. I know I'm kind of defending them in a way, but I have to say this, I have to be kind of balanced with this as well, that they're facing just as much scrutiny in their job as we are as public. They don't get promotions unless they push this woke bullshit. They don't get promotions.
Yeah,
So
but
the issue is the police force itself, the higher ups, the hierarchy, the way it's set
Yes,
up. It needs to be reformed completely.
yeah, of course it does. And unfortunately, if you look at a lot of the police officers that you see now, their age range from probably mid-20s to mid-30s. So
Well, let's
then
face
people,
it. Let's face it, Stefan, right? Half the people that make it into the police force shouldn't even be there, mate. They shouldn't be there.
That's exactly what I was just about. They lowered the standards. They've flooded it with your diversity and equality. You got, like I said to you, you've got on the front line. You've got. I mean, they look like the Teletubbies, most of them. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not competent to do the job that's meant to be done, and they've broken their oath to the people because they do not serve the people. You could go up to a police officer, one of them ones in the marches, and you could ask them, "Who do you serve?" And they wouldn't answer you because they can't say they serve the people. So they police with favour. So if they police with favour, in my eyes, you've got no authority, none whatsoever.
No. And a lot of people forget that our police force is based on consent, just like the government. We give them our consent to be policed by them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people forget that.
Yeah,
And
but consent is something. It's a topic that's got a lot to it. To be fair, because you know, in some ways,
just going to cover this by Mega Steve. They're crown servants. That needs to change, though. That's something that needs to change. They shouldn't be serving the crown. They should be. They should be serving the people. Just want to touch on this. Yeah, thank you. I can't pronounce his name. Yarogol. Only support YouTubers like Vindicator who get their boots on the ground, on the streets, facing globalist communists. These are the real patriots. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, fair play.
But yeah,
but
Louise
yeah,
Gunn, how many made it into the SAS? Yeah, exactly.
that's what we need. We need to somehow accumulate ex-policemen, ex-servicemen, politicians that have been booted out because they can see what's going on. If there is any, there is a couple, I think. and we need to somehow organise in a way, a structured way, to be able to get the solution out, because it is the solution. Nobody else has got one. They've only got excuses. That's all I hear. Excuses. Oh, we can't do this. We can't do that. Can, must, will be done. It's got to be done. You know, it's like you said. What is the alternative?
There isn't an alternative, mate. That's the issue. And it's
Yeah.
like, what do you want to do? There are going to be those people that just want to go down this path. And the path, not doing anything takes you down that path anyway. It takes you down the path to civil unrest and civil war. That's where we're heading.
Yeah, and it's already started with the attacks. Apparently, there was another knife attack. Where did I see that? Up in Bradford today, outside a college. Even the ambulance people were getting attacked. So
Right. So I'm touch on this again. There seems to be like a bit of a debate going on in the chat about women police officers. They shouldn't be on the front line. Simple as that. They should have to go through the same rigorous testing. It should be absolutely brutal, the testing to get into the police. If you can pass those tests, you've qualified to be in the police force. If you can't pass those tests, tough luck. You were never supposed to be there in the first place.
If you're not fighting fit, then you're not up to standard. Plain and simple.
Yeah, when I had to do my CPO training, because that's what I was doing. I was doing close protection operative out in Iraq. I was doing private security. The selection process for that was brutal, because they wanted to know that the absolute best was making it through the course. They weren't going to make exemptions just because you're a woman or you're gay or your colour, your skin. That's of no use, because if you do that, if you're in the team, then you're just a body in a uniform. You're no use. That's all you are. You're just there to take the first hit, and that's it.
And then you become, the other teammates. I've got to look out for the one that's not up to scratch. That's not how it should be.
You know what? I actually feel sorry. I feel sorry for some police officers, especially the blokes when they're like 6 foot themselves, built like a brick shithouse, and then they've got paired up with like a 5'2" woman that looks like she belongs in a nail salon.
Exactly. And you see it all the time with their hair, the way that their hair is, and it's like all over their face. It looks sloppy. It looks terrible. It looks like...
I know it's awful, like, Stefan, I know it's awful, but look at that police officer in the Manchester airport incident, the one that got a nose broken, right?
Yeah.
Now, I've fought with people that have been shot in the arm and they've carried on fighting even though they're bleeding, because they knew that if they didn't, that we would all die. You can't cry. You can't fall apart just because you've been punched in the nose. You've got to fight on. You've got to fight on and subdue the enemy.
Suck it up, suck up the pain, and that's what men would. That's what generally what men would do.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, women are not built like men, and they're never going to be. And that's the reason why
it's unfair. It's unfair to put women in that position. It really is.
Yeah, it's a bastardisation of equality. Because it's just. I'm sorry. There's some jobs that women just are not. It's not in their remit. The reason why you have these dangerous jobs and men doing these dangerous jobs is because generally men are the best at doing it.
I've got to talk about this as well, right? From Louise, right? Having a female partner just distracts the guys, right? So when I was doing my SIA training, the instructor was saying, "Oh yeah, the women can step in and defuse the situation." But my argument was, what if the situation is immediately violent? What are they going to do then? It's no good having a 5 foot woman then when I need a burly bloke at the side of me to drag this guy out and make sure he's not causing more trouble. It's all right having them there as a negotiator, but when the negotiations stop, so does their ability to, because the thinking is, mate, right? Their thinking is because she's a woman that the men won't attack her. That's not the case anymore in this country. That's not the case.
That's long gone, mate.
It is. I don't know about you, but when I used to go out when I was in the 90s, when I was going uptown and stuff, it was unheard of for a man to hit a woman. If a man hit a woman whilst he was in a pub, he would get the hiding of his life from the people in the pub and then from the bouncers on the outside.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah. Them days are long gone. A lot of the women are throwing punches now.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know,
The amount of times, mate,
emasculate.
they've come at me with high heels. I've had cocktail sticks stuck in my arm and all sorts, mate.
Yeah, because
Nail
they've been,
files.
didn't they? They've been told to think that they're equivalent strength of a man's strength. And
Right, let's
you
have a
know,
look at this, Louise. Right, this is an interesting argument. Both men and women bring their own things to the table. What do women bring to the table in a violent confrontation?
nothing.
What do they bring? Do they bring strength? Do they bring intimidation? No, they don't, do they?
No, they don't bring anything apart from, like you say. I'm not saying that there should be no women in the police force, because they could be bloody good investigators and other branches of the police force. But when it comes to having right police going out and trying to look after a crowd, it's no good having a load of 4.5 foot, 5'5" fucking women standing there that are going to get their heads smashed in no time at all. What use is
Yeah,
it?
you see, this is what she said here. Look, Louise getting. Now I'm older, I realise I don't want equality. I want someone to open the door and pay the bills. But you've created the environment. Be it, I don't know if you're a feminist or anything like. I don't know anything about you, but you've created that environment where men don't want to do that anymore because they were demonised for it in the past.
Yeah, but it was
The unfortunate thing is the world you create is what you have to live in.
yeah, exactly. Or the world that some others have created, we have to live in. I'd say more to the point. But yeah, that does.
Women can start. Right, I don't know, just reading what she's saying. Like, women can start it, but the men end up finishing it. So it does have its motion to the right, wrong. I don't know what that's about. I think that's something in debate or something.
Right. It's. I mean, you look at feminism and things like that, where the woman's independent. It used to be chivalry back in the day. You look at it as a polite thing to do. Open a door, pull it fair for your lady, or whatever.
It's all come from Marxism, mate. It's all come from Marxism and identity politics. They taught women that they were just as good as men, when they're not. There are physical differences. There are physical differences.
And there's some points that men are not as good as women.
Exactly.
And they're the points that you should elaborate on. They're the ones that you should make stronger, not try and mix and match when clearly it's not going to work, and it never was going to work. But,
No,
it's
the clue is right. The clue is that men and women are different. Is the fact that you have to lower standards for women in order for them to make the grade. If you have to do that, that's proof that women are different to men physically.
And not only that what they did with the recruiting in the police, they didn't do background checks on a lot of these people that are absolute wrong-uns that shouldn't be in the police force.
Right.
That are like tyrants themselves.
I'll tell you a story now, Stefan, right? Some of our armed response unit police officers, a lot of them, obviously it's all box ticking. It's not down to merit, it's box ticking. So quite a few of them failed the course, but it went upstairs to the higher ups and magically they were approved because they needed a certain amount of people within the armed response unit. They needed it to be more diverse. They were shit at their job, but they needed more people in the armed response unit. So there are people walking about. There are people walking about carrying firearms that aren't qualified, mate.
No, I know that. I 100% know that. And for me, you've got to look in this a little bit of a cynic view on it. But have they done this on purpose to make the actual forces themselves a lot weaker at their core? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Yagthrol, when I was 16 years old, my friend and I came to the aid of a female police who was being dragged along a railway platform by a ripped shirt and a scruffy old man. Yeah. The thing is, right, it puts police officers' lives in danger, because if you put with a 5'2" woman, then you're babysitting her, you're looking after her as well as trying to look after yourself. When really you should both be fully capable of taking on whatever threat comes towards you individually. If you've got to babysit the person you're partnered with, then that's defeating the object, isn't it?
Of course it is. It's, you haven't got the strength there that you need. You need two capable people to be able to do the job by all means necessary, whatever it entails. And if it means you've had to get violent to stop violence, then it's no good. Like you said about the lady in the airport, she got a smack on the nose. She was on the floor. She couldn't do anything else. As where a man will probably get his nose broken, will get back up. I mean that alone, that case alone, that fucking, I couldn't believe what went on there.
Mate, I've literally my fellow soldiers at the side of me. They've been shot in the shoulder. They immediately got back up. They patched themselves up. They've got the medic, patched themselves up. They're back at the wall with a rifle, and they're pinning down the enemy. They're firing suppressive fire again.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
It's down to physical strength and mentality to do that. We're built to do that.
Exactly.
We really are.
Exactly. And you can't have a concept of, I can't, it can't be done. It's you either do it or you're fucking dead. Excuse my French. But yeah, you know, and it's no good. It's no good recruiting the army, because it's happening in the army as well. It's the same thing. And you look at the young officers today; they're more like social workers when they speak. It's just like, and some of them are just, they shouldn't speak at all. They sound that unintelligent and stupid. They don't know the laws themselves.
No, that's a good
They think
mate.
they actually have more authority than they do.
They just make it up. I mean, I've seen countless Charlie Veach videos where they just make shit up. We're seeing the auditors and the citizen journalists where they just make it all up as they go along. And then they get sued for vast amounts of money, which is taxpayer money. So every time compensation is paid out because some police officers messed up, it's our money that's being used to compensate people. They should just be dismissed. The first time they make a mistake, they shouldn't be in that position. They should be sacked immediately.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to implement a law that doesn't exist. You know that they're asked for. Well, show me where it says that then, and they can't because they don't even know themselves. You know, you got people who are clued up on the law more than the police officers themselves that put them straight. But even then, they don't. They think they still have more authority to do whatever they want and how they want.
Right, mate. I'm going to call it.
Yeah, I've got to get me dinner ready.
All right, then, buddy. I'm going to remove you from the stream. All right. Thanks for coming in again.
Mate.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for coming, mate. See you later. Right, guys. I'm going to call it here. Brilliant live stream again. Thanks for all coming in the chat. Thanks to I can't pronounce your name. It's Yagdrol. Is it Yagdrol? That I pronounce your name. Thanks to Yagdrol for the super chat. Really appreciate that, mate. Spot on. Thank you a lot. So I've got some of the comments before I go. If you can pass the training at the highest level, well done. She should be allowed in. Yeah, exactly. Totally agree with that. If you can pass the test that the men pass and you do it flying colours, spot on. You've earned your place. You've earned your position. I've got no issues with that. I'm not saying that women shouldn't be in the police force at all. All I'm saying is they should be capable of reaching the same standards of men and passing the test. The standards should never be lowered, because the minute you lower the standards, that's when you're putting people's lives at risk. And we really don't need that. I mean, it's putting other officers at risk. If they're in a crisis situation and then you've got somebody there that's only made it because, oh, we need to tick some boxes today, they've not got there because of talent or merit or because they're good at the job, that's putting you in danger. That's putting your team in danger, and it's wrong. It needs to stop. Have a good day, all. Stay safe, you too. Lord Gay backwards, okay, Kenny? But for example, they removed the grip test for the fire service yet. Please read the Bill of Rights and other charters, learn your rights. That is the way, yep. Sadly, they made masculinity toxic, so now you have young guys on hormones with the strength of boys, but the emotions of girls, exactly. Right, guys, that's it. Thank you for coming along. Thanks to everybody for watching and leaving a comment and liking and sharing. Much appreciated. I shall see you all in the next video tomorrow morning. This is Vindicator. Sign off. Have a great day, everybody.